And Wemby just has this old soul mentality where it's all about winning. He don't care about the praise, it just comes with it. This man is trying to win and accomplish something, and he is one of the best young leaders that we have in the game.
The San Antonio Spurs just walked into Detroit, faced the team with the best record in the entire NBA, and beat them by 11. And let's be real, the final score doesn't even show how one-sided this felt. That's 9 straight wins, undefeated in February at 8-0. And their last 4 victories have come by an average of 21 points. This isn't a team barely scraping by. They are running teams off the floor and making it look easy. What we're watching isn't luck, it's control, it's confidence. It's a young squad playing like they've been here before. Coming into the season, the Spurs were supposed to be developing. They were supposed to be a year or two away. A young group learning lessons, taking losses, building chemistry slowly. That was the narrative. But something flipped in San Antonio, and it's bigger than just having a superstar. Yes, Victor Wembanyama is a generational talent, but we've seen generational talents before who didn't automatically start stacking wins. Talent alone doesn't build streaks like this. Structure does, identity does, and right now, the Spurs have both. Look around the league. There are elite young stars everywhere. Anthony Edwards is electric. Luka has been putting up historic numbers for years, but having the guy doesn't guarantee dominance. You need the right pieces, the right roles, and a system that maximizes everything. That's what San Antonio has quietly built. They aren't relying on one player to bail them out. They've created a machine, a system that forces opponents into uncomfortable decisions every single possession. And so far, nobody has cracked it. The Detroit game exposed everything. The Pistons didn't come in soft. They came in with a plan. They played physical. They were aggressive. They targeted Wembanyama, tried to bump him, frustrate him, throw him off rhythm. For a brief stretch, it looked like that strategy might slow things down. But then the Spurs adjusted. They didn't panic. They didn't force. They responded with discipline and execution. And once they found their rhythm, it was over. So now we have to really look at what's happening here. Why certain top teams keep struggling against San Antonio. Why game plans that look solid on paper fall apart in real time. And there's one stat about Wembanyama that shifts the entire conversation about this team. It changes how you see their ceiling. It changes how you measure their dominance. And once you understand it, you stop seeing this as a hot streak and start seeing it as something much bigger. Let's set it up properly. Spurs at Pistons. Detroit sitting at 42-13. Best record in basketball. This is the kind of game that exposes you if you're fake. If you want to call yourself a real contender, you go on the road and beat a team like that. Period. And from the opening tip, the Pistons made it clear they weren't playing around. They were physical with Wembanyama. Body shots, hard contests, no easy catches, no free runs to the rim. They basically said, fine, beat us as a scorer. And early on, it looked like their plan had teeth. His efficiency dipped in the first half. The box score wasn't glowing. If you were a Detroit fan watching that first quarter, you were probably nodding like, yeah, this is working. Make him uncomfortable. Turn it into a grind. Force someone else to step up. Touches it. You're giving something up, touches it. You're giving something up, you're giving up space. And the Spurs are not a team full of random shooters hoping for a lucky bounce. They've got real weapons, the kind that punish you immediately. Devin Vassell went nuclear, 28 points, 7 threes. He was in full takeover mode. And this isn't some hot streak guy who catches fire once a month. He's a legitimate scoring option. When teams help off him to contain Wembanyama, they're basically gambling with gasoline. Leave him open and he will torch you without hesitation. That's exactly what happened. Julian Champagnie joined the party too. 17 points, 5 threes. Between him and Vassell, they went 9 for 12 from deep in the first half alone. As a team, San Antonio shot 45% from 3 for the game. That's not survival, that's execution. Meanwhile, Stephon Castle was slicing into driving lanes because Detroit's defense was tilted so heavily toward Wembanyama that the paint started looking like a runway. And this is the part every Western Conference team should be paying attention to. Detroit didn't blow coverages all night. They actually executed their plan well. They made life hard for the best player on the floor. They were physical, they were disciplined, and they still lost by double digits. That's the nightmare, because the harder you go at Wembanyama, the more you stretch your own defense thin. It turns into a trap. You think you're containing the star, but you're unlocking everyone else. Now here's the stat that seals it. When Wembanyama is on the floor, opponents take 6% fewer shots at the rim and 3% fewer shots from mid-range. Both numbers rank in the 95th percentile or higher league-wide in terms of individual defensive impact. Think about that. Teams are literally changing where they shoot because he's standing there. He's not just blocking shots, he's deleting entire areas of the court. And when one player warps the floor on defense like that while the offense spreads you out, you're not just playing the Spurs, you're solving a puzzle that keeps getting harder every night. Think about what that really means for a second. He's not just blocking shots, he's stopping them before they even happen. Players drive into the lane, see him waiting there, and suddenly the plan changes. They kick it out. They pull up early. They hesitate. That's not normal rim protection. That's psychological pressure. And if your team relies on points in the paint, like Detroit does, and already struggles from deep, that's a nightmare scenario. Teams are straight up avoiding the rim when he's on the floor. They're settling for 18-foot jumpers because the alternative is attacking a 7'5" defender with an absurd wingspan who can erase your shot without even jumping fully. That's rim deterrence at a level we almost never see. It's not just about blocks, it's about fear. It's about changing decisions in real time. Rudy Gobert has made a career out of altering paint attempts, but what Wembanyama does is different. He gives you Gobert-level defensive impact, while also being someone you have to fully scheme for on offense. You can't sag off him and clog the paint. He'll step out and knock down a three. So now the math gets ugly. You can't guard him straight up, but you also can't overcommit without paying for it. Pick your poison. Double him in the post, and Devin Vassell is spotting up, ready to fire. Send help on the drive, and Julian Champagnie is wide open in the corner. Stay glued to the shooters, and now it's one-on-one with Wembanyama in space. Good luck with that. Vassell's 28 wasn't random. It was the natural outcome of a defense obsessed with stopping one man.
Love it up top! Exclamation point! Wembanyama.
And here's what separates Wembanyama from other young stars. In the fourth quarter, when Detroit kept sending bodies, he didn't force bad shots. He adjusted. He turned into a facilitator. He found cutters. He kicked out to shooters. He used his gravity to create clean looks for teammates while still anchoring the defense. That's maturity. That's awareness. That's control. He finished with 21 points, 17 rebounds, and 6 blocks. On a night where his jumper wasn't at its best, he still owned the game. That's rare. Most young stars need 35 points to feel dominant. He doesn't. His presence alone shifts spacing, shot selection, and defensive assignments. He changes the geometry of the floor without needing the spotlight every possession. And the Spurs built their entire offensive structure around that reality. Teams keep walking into it thinking they can solve it with physicality or pressure. But the shooting explosion was only half the damage. What San Antonio did defensively might be even more impressive. Yes, Wembanyama's 17 boards and 6 blocks jump off the screen. Yes, he's leading the league in blocks and is firmly in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. We know that. But the Spurs held Detroit to just 37.7% shooting from the field. That's their worst mark all season, and that doesn't happen from one player alone. That's system defense, that's perimeter pressure, that's rotations on a string. And the guy who deserves real attention here is Stephon Castle. Because while everyone is watching Wembanyama protect the rim, Castle is setting the tone at the point of attack and making everything harder before the ball even gets close to the paint. Stephon Castle drew the Cade Cunningham assignment. Let that sink in. Cade is an all-star. He's playing at an MVP level. He's the engine behind the team with the best record in basketball. Everything Detroit does runs through him. And Castle didn't just guard him, he smothered him. There was one sequence that said it all. Castle blocks Cade on one end, tracks down the ball, pushes it coast to coast, attacks the lane, finishes through contact, and gets the and one. That's not just defense, that's momentum theft. Cade ended the night with 16 points on 5 for 26 shooting, 19%, in his own building. That's suffocating. Castle's length, his motor, the way he fights over screens and stays connected through switches, it wore Cunningham down possession after possession. You could see the frustration building. And here's the scary part. Castle is 21 years old, second year in the league, and he's locking up all stars. That's not normal development. That's rare two-way potential. He wasn't just clamping on defense either. He handed out 11 assists. He ran the offense, created for teammates, and erased the other team's best player at the same time. That kind of impact from a young guard changes a franchise. This is where San Antonio's defensive structure gets serious. Mitch Johnson and the staff have built a two-layer system. First layer, Castle and the perimeter guys apply relentless pressure. They get into ball handlers. They make every dribble uncomfortable. They take away clean first looks. And they can be that aggressive because of the second layer. Wembanyama waiting at the rim. That's the cheat code. If you beat your man off the dribble, you're not getting a free layup. You're running into a 7'5" wall. Aggressive perimeter defense usually carries risk. Here, it turns into a trap. Because even when you think you've created an advantage, it disappears in the paint. The numbers confirm it. Third in the NBA in defensive rating. Second in defensive rebounding percentage. That's identity. That's structure. That's discipline. Castle is building a real case for an all-defensive team spot, and he's only scratching the surface. Pair that with Wembanyama anchoring everything behind him, and you're talking about a defensive ceiling that wins titles. Detroit found that out the hard way. They're not the first team walking out of a Spurs game wondering what just hit them. And it doesn't stop there. Beating Detroit on the road is a statement, but playoff teams prove themselves against elite competition consistently. Look at the season series against the defending champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder, 4 wins in 5 games. That's not random, that's a pattern. The biggest one came in the NBA Cup semifinals in December. OKC had won 16 straight. They looked untouchable. People were already talking repeat championship. The Spurs beat them 111-109 in a game that went down to the wire. They didn't sneak it. They controlled long stretches, absorbed OKC's runs, and executed late. That's poise. Their most recent matchup on February 4th ended 116-106 for San Antonio. Yes, OKC was missing several starters. You can note that. But the Spurs didn't coast. They didn't relax. They executed their system and handled business. That's what serious teams do. Keldon Johnson came off the bench and dropped 25. Wembanyama added 22 and 14. That's depth. Against Detroit, it was Vassell exploding. Against OKC, it was Keldon. All 5 starters scored in double digits versus the Pistons. De'Aaron Fox has brought steady veteran control to the offense. Castle gives two-way balance in the backcourt. Champagny spaces the floor and can flip a game in minutes. On any given night, someone different steps up. That's dangerous. Now look at this. In clutch situations, games within 5 points in the final 5 minutes, the Spurs win 66% of the time. That's tied for 4th best in the league. Young teams are not supposed to be that calm. They're supposed to rush, force bad shots, panic. This group doesn't. Some of that comes from Fox. Some of it comes from Johnson's energy. But there's also something about Wembanyama's presence. When you know you have a 7'5" safety net who can protect the rim and create a clean shot at any moment, it changes your composure. There's a quiet confidence there. And confidence like that spreads. The OKC series proved they can stand toe-to-toe with champions. The Detroit game proved they can dominate the toughest environment in the league. And an 8-0 February, with the last 4 wins by an average of 21 points, proves this isn't a fluke run. This is a team peaking at exactly the right time, and the rest of the league should be paying very close attention. But here's what really sticks with me about this Spurs team. Wembanyama is 22 years old, 2nd season. Stephon Castle is barely old enough to order a drink in some cities. This core is young, locked in, and growing together. And that's the wild part. What we're watching right now is not even the finished product. This isn't the polished, fully matured version of San Antonio. This is the early stage, and they're already running through contenders. Right now, in this moment, nobody in the NBA has solved them consistently. You try to rough up Wembanyama, get physical, bump him off his spots, fine. The shooters light you up from 3. You try to funnel everything through your superstar, thinking you'll outduel them. Castle clamps him. You try to speed the game up, push in transition, test their legs. De'Aaron Fox matches your tempo stride for stride, while Wembanyama erases mistakes at the rim. There is no clean counter. Every adjustment creates a new problem. Look at the numbers. 7th in offensive rating, 3rd in defensive rating, 4th in net rating. That's not a cute young team stat line, that's contender territory. Elite on both ends, efficient, disciplined. And when the game gets tight late, they don't unravel. They execute, they close. That's usually something teams learn after years of playoff scars. These guys are doing it already. They're 41-16, 2nd in the West, 9 straight wins. And the scary part is they still have room to grow. Wembanyama is still adding strength. Castle is still refining his reads. The chemistry is still deepening. You can see it building in real time. That's what should make the rest of the league uneasy. Because this isn't a hot streak built on luck. It's structure, depth, defense, and confidence stacking together at the right moment. So now the real question, can the Spurs go all the way this year? Is this the season the leap becomes a title run? Drop your take below, hit the like button if you see what's coming, subscribe to the channel, and check out one of the videos on your screen right now to keep the conversation going.